Imagine the following situation. You are at work or perhaps at a gathering with friends. Everyone around is behaving casually, communicating, and sharing their thoughts and emotions. It seems that everyone knows how to easily keep a conversation going. Everyone is smiling, laughing, and the atmosphere of communication seems light and relaxed. Meanwhile, you may feel a bit detached. You observe how others interact easily and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why do others seem so charismatic and approachable? Why is it so difficult for me to find common ground with people? This question has arisen for me many times. I have lived for a long time with the thought that perhaps I am just not one of those who can communicate easily and freely. I never thought of myself as a charismatic person. And I didn't even try to change that. After all, I always believed that charisma is something innate. Some people are born with this ability, while others are not. If you do not possess it naturally, you may never be able to change that. But one day I decided to ask myself a question. What if it is not true? What if charisma is not a gift, but a skill that can be developed? This question marked the beginning of my journey towards change. Before we dive into this topic, let's clarify what charisma is. When we talk about a charismatic person, what do we mean? Charisma is essentially a combination of confidence, charm, and the ability to attract attention. A charismatic person appears self-confident, yet does not repel others with their self-assuredness. His communication is sincere, he is interested in others, listens to them, and finds common ground with different people. Such individuals have the ability to attract attention and trust. But what exactly makes them this way? One of the main qualities of charismatic people is their accessibility. They seem open and friendly. It is easy to start a conversation with them. They give you the feeling that their presence and attention are directed at you rather than at themselves. When we talk about charisma, we cannot overlook the issue of accessibility. People are drawn to those with whom they can communicate easily and comfortably. If a person seems inaccessible, arrogant, or overly confident, they are unlikely to inspire a strong desire to continue the conversation. Charisma is not so much the ability to impress, but rather the ability to make communication with oneself pleasant and natural for others. But how can one become accessible and charismatic if they are not born with this quality? I have tried many different techniques, having read many books, but one change turned out to be the most important. It was a simple solution that can be applied today. To focus on others and practice active listening. Yes, it turned out to be that simple. Charisma and accessibility begin with one simple action: genuine interest in other people. Let me explain why this works and how it has changed my perception of myself and my communication. Many people live focusing on themselves. We think about how others perceive us, how we are evaluated, and what others think of us. This is natural, as we are all in one way or another focused on our own experiences and emotions. However, it is this internal focus on oneself that causes us to lose connection with those around us. Then I realized that most of the time I was thinking about what others would think of me and how to present myself in the best light, so I decided to change this approach. I began to consciously shift my attention from myself to my conversation partner. It turned out to be more difficult than it seemed at first glance, but over time I got used to asking more questions and being interested in people's opinions. For example, when I was talking to my colleagues at work, I stopped just listening to their stories about work matters and started asking questions that helped them open up. Why are you interested in this? What do you think about it? And, you know what happened? People became more willing to share their thoughts. They felt that they were truly being listened to, that their opinions mattered. And the more I showed interest in their thoughts and feelings, the easier it became for me to interact with them. But genuine interest in people is not just a set of the right questions, it is a state in which you truly want to understand a person, their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Many of you are used to perceiving listening as an externally passive, we just listen and that's it, but active listening is a completely different approach. It is a process in which you not only hear the words of your interlocutor but also try to understand their emotions and inner state. You respond to what is said, ask clarifying questions, and offer your support. At work, this is reflected in how we relate to our colleagues. Once I was talking to one of the employees and he was sharing his thoughts about the project we were supposed to launch. In the past I would have just nodded and thought about my own things, but this time I decided to focus on his words and ask additional questions. We delved into the conversation, and it opened up new perspectives in the project that I hadn't even considered. My attention to his words helped me not only establish a warmer relationship with my colleague but also improve our overall work. Another important point is the confirmation that you are listening to the person, which can be expressed in short phrases like "I understand you," or "I can relate to that," or in repeating the key thoughts of the interlocutor. This not only helps to better understand them but also gives them a sense that their words are truly important. Let me tell you a story that vividly illustrates how a conscious interest in people can change your interactions with those around you. Once, during an important meeting with business partners, I decided to put into practice my skills of active listening and interest in others. Instead of focusing on how to present my project, I decided to inquire about what concerns our partners, what inspires them, and what they want to achieve. As a result, the conversation reached a completely different level. We began discussing not only the project but also life goals, common interests, and values. This allowed us to build a strong connection, and our project was not just successful. It became the beginning of a long-term partnership. Once I had difficulties in my relationship with a close friend. We used to communicate often, but I started to notice that our conversations became increasingly superficial and sometimes even tense. It seemed to me that he had lost interest in what I was saying, and I started to distance myself. But at some point I decided that instead of getting offended, it was worth trying to change my approach. I decided to listen more and speak less. This changed not only our relationship but also my perception of communication as a whole. I realized that the problem was not that he was not interested in me, but that I was not giving him the opportunity to truly express himself. This simple change of focusing on another person and giving genuine attention to their words has strengthened our friendship and made our conversations deeper and more meaningful. This works in personal life as well. I started to notice that even with friends or family, when I focus not on what I want to say, but on what they are sharing, the conversations become deeper and our relationships strengthen. We often think that our words and thoughts are important, but in reality, the key to successful communication lies in the ability to listen. Another important aspect that helped me become more charismatic and accessible is openness and the willingness to be vulnerable. Many people believe that charisma is related to self-confidence and not showing weakness, but I have come to the conclusion that people are attracted to those who are not afraid to be themselves, who acknowledges their weaknesses and is ready to openly talk about their feelings. For example, if something is bothering me at work or in my personal life, I do not hide my emotions but share them. I talk about what I feel. I'm worried about this project, as I'm unsure I can manage it. It's amazing how it reveals people. When we show our vulnerability, others begin to see us as someone with whom they can communicate on a deeper level. What I have realized on my journey to develop charisma is that charisma is not magic. It is not a gift that many possess. It is a skill that can be developed through attention to people, genuine interest, and active listening. Now I want to ask you a question. How do you think your communication with people would change if you started truly listening to them? Try asking yourself this question and experiment in the coming days. Will you be surprised at how your communication will start to change? If you like this video, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. What communication techniques do you use in your life? Maybe you have your own secret to charismatic communication. I would love to read your stories and receive feedback. And of course, if you notice any mistakes or areas that can be improved, feel free to point them out. Your comments help me improve and make the content even more interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye everyone. Also, join our Telegram channel.